This is a bit strange, it's counterintuitive, but it absolutely is a good thing, even though some may say that Space Marine 2 has got a problem, and it's a problem that is showing up in some Steam reviews. Here's basically the deal. The largest live games in our industry have a new season every 10 or so weeks, and that means a whole new battle pass. Full of exciting rewards. New maps, new modes, new heroes, new everything, masses of customization options, hundreds of sprays and character portraits. And as much as Fortnite trucks on, we've seen enough counterexamples to know that that's often unsustainable, as every company is here in the industry trying to target the same psychological hooks in your brain and monopolize your attention to make money. Funnily enough, those just get less effective because everybody's trying the same thing. And that makes Space Marine 2 an easy-to-praise game. It is a live service that does not nickel and dime you. It has got no FOMO battle pass or timed deals in a rotating store. It has a business model that Saber nailed with World War Z. World War Z came out 5 years ago. It was an Epic exclusive for 2 years. It's had 3 premium content editions since, along with continual free support that has not stopped. Space Marine 2 looks set to get similar, but it's fair to say there's a segment of the audience that don't exactly know what to make of it. When I say it's a different live service, this is what I mean. Take a look at this. This looks like a live service roadmap. And it is that, but it also doesn't really work like any of the other ones. Space Marine 2 is a seasonal game, but not really in the way that any of us see seasons. Each season does bring new gameplay content that is free, right? And along with that, there will be cosmetic DLC. But the Season Pass isn't really what you would think based on what a Season Pass used to be. It's just you buying a season's worth of cosmetics at a bundled price. And unlike almost every other live service, you buy it on Steam. Now that does have the downside. If you go to that store page, you click the Show All DLC button, and you have conniptions. But do you know what it isn't? It's not a button in the game UI saying, "Hello, money me now," which is certainly pretty damn refreshing. It's not what a lot of modern gamers expect. So, Season 2 has been ongoing since November. It added 2 PvE operations that take place toward the end of the campaign, a new weapon, a new enemy type, new difficulty, as well as a gigantic melee rework and an Islands update that will let you complete your chapter designs. That's brilliant. It is new content, it's free content, and it did come along with some stuff you could buy. There's a $9.99 champion cosmetic and weapon pack that is themed after the Dark Angels, and that sits in the store alongside the $4.99 Ultramarine pack, and both of those are included in the $39.99 RRP Season Pass that was bundled in with the Deluxe and the Gold editions, which, frankly, loads of us have because 4-day early access was a thing on the more expensive editions of the game. But here's where it got weird. Looked a bit closely, I saw that some people aren't pleased, and they're a bit confused. This is a real Steam review from that $9.99 Dark Angels pack. I'll read it verbatim. Quote, "Granted, the skins are good, but the gaming industry as a whole has moved on to expect more out of a live service title. Do better. The weapon skins, while they look good, are just not in the things that I run." That's a negative review, and it's one of many negative reviews, in fact. The Dark Angels pack currently sits at 58% on Steam. That was at the time of writing. Last time I checked, it was at 54%, and the Ultramarines pack is at 41%. For a game that is itself beloved, that does raise eyebrows. So what's the problem? Let's examine it. The Dark Angels pack says it's got over 40 cosmetic items and decals. These are pauldrons, greaves, and helmet variations for various Dark Angels chapters. There's a power sword, plasma pistol, and auto boat rifle skin, and you get a champion skin, which is basically just a single non-customizable character. That is not massive. Now, based on the amount of money that you could spend on a single skin in another live service game, well, yeah, it does seem like a hell of a deal. But this is a game that you paid full price for, so I don't really think that is a fair comparison. But of course, what many people, that reviewer included, were thinking is, you're saying I get a skin style, but it only applies to like a few weapons instead of everything? What's going on? And that's the thing. Compared to a lot of other live service games, this is not a lot. People are used to an absolute barrage of things on the rotating store, as well as a stack of unique, bespoke content made for that season pass. And the truth is, for a lot of modern gamers who grew up in live services, this makes them feel uneasy because it is less than they are used to. And for some of those concerned people, what made it even more strange is the leaks, because the leaks showed what were planned, and it very much is not what most live service games, well, do, and what most live service gamers expect. Saber since talked about things more officially at the start of 2025, but data mined leaks show details through to Season 9. At their current rate, that would be late 2026, and what it is what you'd expect if you looked at World War Z. It is slow. It is steady. You will be getting quarterly cosmetic packs for each Founding Space Marines chapter. Season 6 is to be focused on chaos. There's going to be more gameplay updates throughout the different seasons. There were further leaks suggesting a Battle Barge expansion is planned for next season. Saber since have commented on that, and hey, Battle Barges, awesome. That will mean new challenges, new rewards for playing PvE missions, but for a lot of people, well, what if you love Space Wolves? Well, tough luck, it does appear that you'll be waiting until early 2026 to be able to buy some Space Wolves. That could really suck for you if you love Space Wolves, but do you know what it'll suck even more for? The executive types, because if this was some other sort of live service that runs the way that we expect and see them all run, they would be wanting to sell you Space Wolves right now, because the line must go up right now. So when we look at Saber's plan, it is hardly the "we need money right now, juice the numbers every quarter" that we are used to from the incumbent live services that ship vastly more cosmetics and often, more unique cosmetics. People will also think, Space Wolves will come out, but what if the weapon pack doesn't include the weapons that I want? These are legitimate problems on both sides, but often problems are the price that we pay for something else. And that is where this interview with CCO and ex-id, as in Doom Eternal, Doom, that id, executive Tim Willits comes in. So here's the dynamic that Tim says had driven sales for them. Quote, "There's always one guy that says, 'Guys, come on, there's new stuff coming up.' And then, okay, so 3 other people are like, 'It's only $5, let's buy it.' And so you get this kind of group FOMO thing going on that really helps. And we had so much success with that model, that's what we'll do." Okay, so yes, he said FOMO. That is obviously one of those words that for us conjures up a in-game store saying, hey, this is a thing you want, but it's only going to be here for 2 days, and that's because we want your money now. The type of FOMO he's talking about is the natural FOMO, as in, this game is on sale, it's had new content over the last while, my friends want to play it, sure, I'll go and buy it so I can play with my friends. That's the healthy kind of FOMO that's fine. Now, yes, the skins do actually sell, but this is where not being a free-to-play game is absolutely goddamn killer. This is the difference. This is really the reason why I decided this video had to be made. If you come back to the game in 6 months or 12 months, there will have been free updates. Those updates will give you new content and new reasons to play. Sure, it won't be a massive amount of content, but it will be content. And like World War Z, the ongoing service is of course geared towards co-op. There are skins and the season pass, and those will play a large financial role. But unlike so many other games, this is a developer that earns money by selling people their actual game. That is the key insight from Tim's interview. He was talking about the idea that, well, if you have a really good time at the game and we add free content and then you want to play the game, but there's lots of great co-op content and the game's also on sale, well, you're going to get your friends to come in and they're going to buy the game. That is not how other games like, say, Overwatch make money. If you convince the old crew that it's time to go play Overwatch again, Blizzard does not make a single penny until somebody buys a battle pass or whatever it may be. And that is important because we actually want companies to make money by selling video game content, because if they make money by selling video game content, funnily enough, the incentives will be to make more video game content instead of not, which is what most of the industry has been doing. Now, in a way, you could say that this model does not fund a live service that is as intense as the Steam review that I picked up on earlier expected, but unlike so many other games, Space Marine 2 is not waging war on you. It is not trying to monopolize your attention. Though, if the data mined roadmap had you feeling a little bit down, hang on, because there is actually some good news on that front. Space Marines 2's strategy was based on World War Z. World War Z was a premium game that was once given away in the Epic Store and again was given away on Prime Gaming. However, its RRP was much lower than Space Marine 2. Now, we know that Space Marine 2 sold real well, and we also know that it had a high average sale price because it was actually an expensive game and it had the premium advanced access. Now, shortly after launch, Tim, who I mentioned earlier, told IGN this, quote, "Our game director, Dmitry," I'll, not butcher his surname, "he has proposed some story ideas that could either be DLC or a sequel." And that's exactly what live service games do not do. It's what some people on the Overwatch team really wanted to do with Invasion with PvE, but of course, the business interests killed that and fired all of them. This is a company that is actually in the business of selling content. The other game companies, they are not always in the business of selling content. They are in the business of managing, to use an analogy, a sport, so that they can monetize everything around that sport, because developing more content is a lot more expensive and a lot more risky than new merch, which is basically what our industry has devolved into. Just take World War Z. Imagine if that was just a full zombie live service game, and not what it actually ended up being. There's the upgraded Aftermath edition of the game, and while you may know it as a third-person shooter, did you actually know that it's got a first-person mode? They've added paid content, they've added paid cosmetic content, but they've added a lot of free stuff, and they seem to have came upon a far more healthy model. And this is the takeaway, this is the thing for us all to analyze. Would you rather see artists and designers working on a sequel or a DLC than an endless deluge of slop that is designed to monetize and monopolize your attention? Because workers in the game industry are going to be working on something. As a lover of video games, I would rather they're working on video games and not on video game merch that you buy inside your managed decline shrinkflation excuse of a video game, which is what they too often have devolved into. That's why I'm pretty damn behind the business model this game is going for, even though it's different, even though, in some ways, it's boring and it's not exciting. But it turns out when everybody is trying to get you hyped for their latest brand collab, being boring and actually a video game is itself exciting. Because man, I think we're all tired of that other shit. Okay, that's it for today's video, but guess what? There's a lot more. Watch this next.